What is divination? How does it work? And how do we start doing it? Or how do we start to do it more effectively? So for me, there's three main parts to divination. There's the system that you're using. There is the layout in which you do it. And it's also how you voice the actual question. So all these things really matter. And I'll go through into them in a second. But I thought I'd just talk about what actually is divination. So divination is the first part of the three of a full magical system. So I went into this in another video, but essentially we have divination, manifestation / sorcery, and then we have initiation. So divination is the first step. Divination is learning to read the code to the matrix. Divination is learning to send questions out and receive feedback from the universe or the cosmos or the deity or whatever you're doing. But it's allowing us to create a language that we can communicate with the divine. So I would, call divination as developing a language to communicate with the divine / your subconscious. And so I also want to talk about how it works as well. So there's lots of different theories, and depending on who you ask, they'll have a completely different theory. But I want to posit one really cool theory to you. So I kind of had this idea as well, but it was really cemented by a book by Michael Kelly called Everything and Nothing. I don't recommend reading that if you're early in on your journey, because it kind of stumps on a lot of ideas. But if you're, further along enough and you have a good digestive fire element system, you'll be able to handle it. But what he talks about in divination is if you were to think or imagine that when you're laying out when you're relaying a rune or a tarot card or interpreting tea leaves or whatever your divination system is, or a pendulum, that there is actually no, I'm not saying this is the truth, but just a theory. So work with me for a second. That there is no supernatural, cosmic, divine system in play. That when you lay down a tarot card, that there is no guidance to what card pulls out. It's completely random, and there is no divine intervention to pulling the right card. Now, you would still get a lot out of divination if that was the case. So, for example, if we're using the runes, if I ask a question and I say, I am thinking about entering into a new field of work, is that a good idea? And what is actually playing out that I need to know about? And I might actually quickly, I didn't plan on doing this, but I'll just grab my runes. Excuse the unorganizedness, but I thought this might be a good idea. So I'm just going to pull out 3 random runes, and I'm just going to just assume that there is no supernatural, no divine intervention for what is happening here. Cool. So I have pulled out number 1, Hagalas. Number 2, Ahwaz. I'll go into how I'm doing this divination system in a second. And then I have Fehu. Cool. So just quickly, I would associate the first one, Hagalaz, as the root of the situation. And it's a need for change. So I would obviously take note that, yeah, there actually needs to be some sort of change. I'm not happy if I'm thinking about changing, then obviously something is in play, and I need to start sowing seeds for something new, because if I don't pursue this new line of work, then my subconscious will maybe self-sabotage my existing setup, because I'm obviously not happy if I'm thinking about changing. So Awaz is connected to this idea of partnership. So it's understanding what or who I may need to connect with in order to make this a possibility. And so if I'm thinking of changing jobs and I have no connection to anyone that I might want to get into, then that's going to be an issue. So if I'm serious about this, I should start looking at connections or understanding the partnership of like what I need to link with. It might not be a person, but it might be like a part of myself that okay, if I'm not happy, then what is this new job going to fulfill for me? Okay, I'm currently in a corporate job and I want to approach a job that is more in line with my creative potential or my belief system or what I actually love doing. So I would be like, okay, cool. Well, that is the partnership that I need. I want to partner with that part of myself that wants to fulfill those. How is the best way to do that? And what outside entities do I need to partner with in order to start setting that up and to work with and to kind of like trust that connection that I can ride along with that. And Fehu is this, the connection with that fire. So fire is connected to Fehu, but also the wealth. And so the practicalities of the situation and the end result come into, okay, how important is the money aspect of it? And how does that come into play? And so I might be taking an initial pay cut to get into that, but is that going to then fuel my fire for more potential in the future? And so like the culmination of the reading would be like, yes, Hagalaz is approaching, there needs to be a change. And whether that's a change in my actual job or a change in myself, that I can start to see my current occupation as maybe, a partnership to enable me the means to then do other things. Maybe I could go a little bit more part-time and start focusing on my creative endeavors and start to fuel that. So then I can plan to start my own business or my own venture or something like that. So that just kind of shows you that no matter what cards, even if I pulled, so for example, I'll prove to you that even if I pull 3 completely different cards to 3 completely different runes, I can still get an answer from that. So here we have Isa. So the first one, Isa, might be I'm feeling stuck. I'm feeling like I'm not moving, and I'm feeling like I'm starting to feel a bit drained because I am static and I'm not growing. I'm not bridging myself to avenues that I want to be. And then the next one is Pairthrow. So Pairthrow is a reminder that there actually is infinite potential as long as I put myself in a situation where that can happen, and understanding that there is this randomness to the world and that I might not get what I immediately expect, but understanding that there is infinite potential out there, and I just have to be prepared to go out into the unknown. And then Manas is a reminder of my potential as well, but also the key to humanness in the way that, so Manas for me in this situation might associate, cool, what are the actual things I need to know, and what do I need to connect with as part of me in order to get to where I'm going? So what do I need to be aware of? What knowledge do I need in this situation? But also what kind of, other humans or, community do I need to be part of to either learn these skills, to get this knowledge, or to even get some advice on where to go from here? And so it could be a reminder to connect. So it's kind of like a similar answer. And so you might be like, oh, well, there's no point to them because you kind of knew. But I didn't know up until this point. This is a hypothetical situation. But both rune readings kind of told me the same thing, in that I do need change because I'm feeling stuck, and I need to start to branch out and explore and see the possibilities that are there. And then I also need to make practical plans of like, what do I need to do? What am I aware of that needs to happen? I want to do. What are the knowledge and skills I need? And who are the people that I need to connect with? And so there is a deep part of you in your subconscious or hyperconscious or whatever you want to call it, that knows what I need to do in this situation. But it's easier to tap into that part of yourself through a symbolic system. And a symbolic system such as the runes, which is a full system that covers all the aspects of the human experience, Tarot also does that. That's why I'm just, saying that you either choose the runes or tarot for this course. But how cool is that I can think that there is absolutely no divine intervention in play, that it's completely random, but I'm still going to get a benefit out of it because I've started to get a new perspective on the situation and allowed this communication loop between my conscious and subconscious mind. Now, if that alone is enough reason to do divination, then what if you actually do experience and think that there is some sort of divine, weird, unknown, unknowable thing in divination? And in my experience, I've definitely I've fluctuated between, at certain points in my life thinking that this is all just like a mind trick of just a way to tap into my subconscious, and also being okay with that and still seeing the benefit of pursuing this. But I've also had extremely weird situations where there has to be something else going on. But I think having a default to fall back on, being like, regardless of the divine, nature of divination, it's still a very beneficial practice to have. And so then if you do, on top of that, feel or know that there is some sort of divine connection to that, then that's only going to make it even better. So essentially what I'm saying is, regardless of your beliefs, divination is such an amazing tool. And I highly encourage, if, some of you might already have this practice and you'll know exactly why it's a beneficial practice. But if you don't, highly recommend, well, you kind of need to, if you're going to pass this course, take up the runes or take up the tarot and start to play with divination. So in the next video, I will go into how to actually do divination, what forms of divination we're going to be using in this course, and how to actually get started with it.